Okay. So, thank you for the interview. I'm Jason Campbell.
Hi, Jason. I'm Lisl Schick.
Lisl Schick. So can you spell your name just so I can get this right? Okay.
Lisl.
ISL.
And Schick is Schick.
Schick. Okay. Thank you. Okay. My first question is, can someone truly understand evil without having experienced it firsthand? So can I truly understand what evil is without having experienced it firsthand?
Well, when my husband died, people came up to me and said, I know how you feel. But I would look at them and say, thank you. But unless they had experienced that type of a loss, I don't think you can say, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
So probably my answer would have to be, probably not.
Right.
Probably not.
And with respect to your experience as a survivor, can they understand even the magnitude of that, which is so much more than maybe the loss of a loved one or the loss of...
Well, I did lose a lot of close family. I think my children understand it at this point, my adult children.
Okay.
Because now that they are parents themselves, and you'll hear my story, they cannot imagine how parents could put two young children on a train into an unknown future where the children didn't know where they were going to stay, who was going to take care of them, did not speak a word of the language of the country they were going to. And I have to tell you, my mother was a very, very protective mother. At one time, well, she was 25 when I was born. She was 19 when she got married, and she was told she would never have children. So she always felt that my brother and I were just so special because she did have the two of us. And she was very, very protective of us. And how she put us on the train, it was really a tremendously courageous act, and with a lot of foresight.
Okay. Is evil taught, or do you think that people are naturally evil?
I don't know the answer to that question. I think a lot has to do with environment and the home environment, where children are either taught prejudice or not. I don't think people are born evil. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But I think they're influenced by outside things they see on the outside.
No, I think.
What do you think about that?
I think you're right. Yeah, it's. I think influence has a lot to do with it. Absolutely, I agree. And I think that the environment that you're in can influence you to become and participate in really, really horrific things.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you 100%.
Absolutely.
As far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
Here's a question that I think survivors can answer specifically that I'm not sure anyone else can, but what do you think is the nature of human suffering? What do you think? What does it mean? What is the nature of suffering? Is it?
Give me a hint.
Is it? Why?
Well, there's physical torture,
right,
and there's emotional, and there's mental. There's so many different types of suffering. Children naturally want to be with their parents. I think there's a tremendous anxiety. It's called separation anxiety, I guess. And when you take two small children and sort of send them away, I think that can create a lot of suffering. There's a wonderful film which you might want to see at some point. It was put out by HBO, and it's called Into the Arms of Strangers.
Okay.
And the woman who produced it is Debbie Oppenheimer. She was the daughter of a Kindertransport survivor. And there's one woman in that film who says that when she was sent away, she blamed her parents, and then of course she had terrible guilt afterwards because her parents did not survive. And she said to her parents, you don't want me, you hate me, and that's the reason you're getting rid of me. So, and
Right.
then she suffered terribly
From that.
emotionally from that.
Right,
That's very
right.
obvious in the film.
Right.
So
I think that that's a new experience, and your experience is the first experience that I've heard of
very
detachment.
different.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is a different, unique experience. What, in your view, makes something evil? What is there any defining thing that makes something evil?
Well, prejudice and hatred are just evil.
Okay.
And you'll hear me talk about that.
Okay.
And that is taught at an early age, like, you're too young to know South Pacific probably,
Right.
but there's a song in it that says you have to be taught to hate the people who are not like you before you're 6 or 7 or 8. That's one of the lines. So when you're very young, you're taught this.
Right.
And that's again where I say that the home influences and outside influences can be very, very important. You either, I'll talk about it. Hitler wanted this Aryan race. Everybody had to have white skin and blue eyes and blonde hair, which he didn't have, by the way.
Right.
But that was his conception of, and he drilled that into the children. And he knew how he formed these youth groups, Hitler Youth, men, boys and girls, and you had very little choice if you were not Jewish, of course.
Right.
You had to join it, and you were ostracized if you didn't. And they taught them this terrible prejudice at a very, very young age. Well, it's very hard to combat that.
Right.